Check one, two. Mhm. Check one, two.
Hello.
All right. Let me see here. Okay. Yeah, I got 7 o'clock. Um, Hopefully everybody's doing good out there. So I've got quite a few things to talk about this evening. What I'd like to start with is so we were working on one of our notes, and long story short, we ended up with a note that transferred a couple of times to us. And there was a signature missing from a previous bank that owned this note. And so we had to go back to the bank that we bought this note from for them to go back to get a signature. Long story short, that's really not important. The important thing is that we ended up coming up with a name for the person that handles their defaults at this previous bank. Now, we're not in contact with this bank, not so far. And the title for this person's position that was going to handle this missing signature was in the Department of Default Servicing Foreclosure Team Leader. And so I'm like, foreclosure, default servicing foreclosure team leader. I've never heard that as a position. And so you know what? Let me put that into let me just put default servicing into my LinkedIn account. And I clicked on people. First, second. I came up with 6,800 results. That's a lot of people to contact that are in the default servicing part of some type of banking. 6,800. I've never had a reaction like that from LinkedIn. And so that sent me down the rabbit hole, starting to connect with these people. And those are people that I have, my contacts are connected to some of these people, which is very good. Now, if I could go to my third level, meaning these are some really strangers, people that I have well, maybe I have connections to other people, but some are second and some are going to be third, with no contacts connected. That's 16,000 results. And using default servicing as a job title, which I didn't even think that was a job title. So this is the game that I like to play. But with the title, something that I know that is real life, meaning, hey, I'm trying to get a signature from a previous bank. What department am I going to be talking to? That's why I share this stuff with you, because I come up with this is 16,000 people that I could possibly connect with to look for notes. Now, if you remember way back when, or maybe you don't, I was in very good contact, a good friend of mine, Sabrina Allen, and she was in that department at PNC Bank. She was selling her defaulted loans. She was calling borrowers. She was doing workouts. She was the chief cook and bottle washer for the defaulted um, part of PNC's. I guess you would call it their loan department, defaulted loan department. And she did everything. She sold loans. She did workouts. She talked to borrowers. She contacted borrowers. She was a very busy person, and we became good friends. Our mentor, our early mentor, was actually buying notes from PNC and dealing directly with her. I'm sure you've heard the story where our mentor was sending faxes every morning. He would wake up and send a fax to Sabrina Allen, who was in the default servicing department at PNC. Here, I'm showing you 16,000 people that you can fax every morning, just like our mentor did, to get in touch with banks. If you really want to get in touch with banks, if you really want to go to the next level and take this business to new heights, this is the way to do it. Between chasing assignments that we talked about on previous calls and using LinkedIn to get in touch with these people, and then actually knowing what to say when you do get a hold of these people. I'm going to save that for another call. I have covered that. That leads me to the next thing that I want to cover this evening, which is all of the calls that we have actually done so far. It's starting to accumulate. So does anybody have any questions about this default servicing title? I know that there's many titles that these people go under, and I'm sure you're going to see, let's see, default mortgage servicing consultants. Yeah, I mean, to me, this is the perfect title. And LinkedIn really has this thing queued up for me to go nuts with this. I'm just going to go to my first list. That's still showing me first, second, and third. Okay, I see how it's working. So these are people that I'm already in contact with. I'm already in contact with 43 of these default loan servicing people. And I just never thought to type in default servicing in my search bar. Searching, Google searching, LinkedIn searching, whatever, using county website searching, it's very particular. And I know I've got some computer people on these calls. If you could chime in about what drives these search engines. Just slight tweaks can make such a huge difference. It's the algorithm of how these searches work. If you're off by one letter or a misspelling or maybe a space in the wrong place or something, it really makes a serious impact.
Yeah, I would say, speaking of computer searches, it's better off to start with less criteria and then work your way up, because then you can sort of test what kind of results you get versus you might not get anything, or you might get something you didn't anticipate. But better you start with less, and then like you had this default servicing, even if you started with default, and then maybe it's default to service, default to servicer. There may even be other language, but yeah, that's classically. I used to do a lot of searches at a almost like a programming level, which is really behind the scenes, and that does make a huge difference in terms of how you get results.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, and even and that's so right, Tony, and I appreciate you jumping in. Even the questions that you ask in the language, I'm sure you've heard the story before where Mary, my wife, was we were trying to track down, just like she's trying to track down the right person for this signature right now. She was trying to track down who owned the first mortgage ahead of us. And we came up with a name that we thought was possibly the person that was on the first position. And she checked, and the lady got back to her and said, "No, I'm sorry, we do not own the first position on the property you're talking about." And then Mary said, "Well, if you did own that, would it be possible that you might sell that loan to us? And I'm sure you heard me say it 100 times, and I'll keep saying it. The woman said, on occasion, we do sell loans. And she's like, well, please put us on the list. And that led to over 7 years worth of business for us, really put us on the map for the majority of the loans that we still own to this day and still work to this day. So slight tweaks in language, slight tweaks in your search engines that you're using and taking advantage of could mean a difference. And have some fun with it. It's fun. It literally is fun. And when I typed this in yesterday morning, and I saw the amount of people that results, I scroll down to the bottom, and I'm like, I've got over 100 pages of people to go through and companies to go through, and it's a gold mine. It's so funny. I don't know why and no one else does this. I mean, there's a default servicing network. Oh, join. Let's do that. Default servicing reporting and analytics. Let's join that. Mortgage default servicing professionals. It goes on and on, folks. This is how I found my first contact was in LinkedIn. And I don't want to beat a dead horse, but these people are out there, and which really leads me. Well, let's do this next. So what I wanted to get. So does anybody have any questions about this, or comments, or suggestions? Because this to me is the business. It is the business. I remember when my mentor said, if you don't get this part of the business, he was talking about dealing with borrowers. He would never show us what I'm showing you, because that was his proprietary thing to keep us coming back for more notes, because he had figured out this part of the business before he started bringing on students to sell us notes. This was his bread and butter, and he was not going to share with us how he was out connecting, except for that one time that he did talk about connecting with Sabrina Allen about the fax machine. He was very proud of that story, and he let that cat out of the bag. And I was all ears. I just really hung on every word that guy had to say, because I really wanted to play his role later on in life, and it happened sooner than I thought it was going to happen. I thought we'd have 3 or 4 years of mentorship with him. And then it turned out that when he stopped selling us loans, we were in a panic to go out and find our own deals. And it happened to us sooner than we thought. But this is LinkedIn, I think, is the most powerful tool for us to get this job done in unison with chasing assignments on the county websites. Let's see what other groups come up here. Leaders in collections and default servicing in Dallas-Fort Worth area. Join that. Leaders in mortgage default servicing in Dallas. Join that. Leaders in default. Join that. Loan servicing development. Join that. And actually talking to servicers. National Mortgage News, I am familiar with them. Talking to servicers. So this was probably one of the first things that I did when I was looking for loans. It was Statebridge, Kevin Knuff, I think it was Statebridge Servicing. I don't know if they're still with that name. State Bridge. State Bridge Servicing. No. I remember the guy's name was Kevin. Kevin Knuff. Yeah. So I connected with this guy years ago, 2008, I believe it was. I had a nice conversation with this guy. And I started the conversation by saying, hey, listen, I am in the process of building a non-performing note portfolio. I'm looking at your company as a possible servicer. Now, Kevin Cordell had not started his servicing company yet. And so I connected with this guy. He sat me down with one of his managers, and she went through a 2-hour boarding process on how they board loans, what they do, how much it costs. And I had a real nice conversation with her because I was excited. I had maybe 2 loans of my own. I was self-servicing those loans, so I really had no intention of using them as a servicer because we were taught to service our own loans. And then I said, do you guys ever sell loans? And she says, yeah, we do. And we sell them for our clients, for our current customers. I said, well, if I ever bought any loans from you, I would leave them with State Bridge. She goes, I appreciate you telling me that. That sounds really good. And she started sending me loans. Like, what a great way to not only see how they would service my loans if I brought them a portfolio, but then ask the bombshell question, do you sell loans? Now, everybody knows that David Polio from SN Servicing is a loan seller, and he does a good job of getting those loans out to a lot of people. But yeah, State Bridge Servicing, I mean, they're seeking experienced senior controller. Yeah, just a great guy, just a great bunch of people. Like I said, this guy has been 8 years ago. It's been more than, oh, that was a post published 8 years ago. Like I said, I've been connected with this guy for years. And then when you connect with somebody like this, then all of his people, it just goes on and on. So again, I'm excited about LinkedIn, and I'm excited about doing default servicing search and connecting with all those people. I'm really interested to see what these groups look like. It looks like there's only 78 people of mine that have connected. So that's my attorney, Tony Sotil, David Polio. I was just talking about him with SN Servicing. Paul Briquette, he is a note guy. Peter Slagowitz is another guy that our mentor knows very well. You can see that Peter Slagowitz is connected with 346 of my mutual connections, Dean Engel being one of them. Dean Engel and I used to teach the note business together. If you look up Dean Engel, he's probably connected, very well connected with all of these. We have 500 plus connections. He had some great students that have become very good close friends of mine, and students of mine as well. And this whole thing just goes on and on and on. And it's I don't know what they call it, 7 levels of connection or whatever. LinkedIn is the place to observe that and take advantage of it. If nothing more than to get yourself recognized. I'm going to a real estate event tomorrow. And And this guy sells a $25,000 house flipping education. And he actually has a TV show. Let's see. This guy, Jonathan Steingraber. Oh, I'm not even connected to him. That's crazy. He has a real estate investing TV show. I couldn't tell you what. I think it's Flip This House in 24 hours. And he does he has a $25,000 education program. And it's $25 for him. He pitches this over a 2-day period, this $25,000 mentorship program. And he's like, why do you keep coming back to these? I'm like, for $25? What are you, crazy? I get to sit in this room with all these really smart people and listen to you just fire hose me full of information about zoning and permitting. And he gets down to the level of, listen, when I have a zoning project that I need to take care of, I find out who the zoning officer is. I find out what affiliate they are politically, and then I will hire a matching political attorney to handle my zoning issue, so that if it's Republican, he'll hire a Republican attorney in that town and vice versa if it's Democrat. And he goes, hey, that's to that level of brilliance. He goes, I got to do what I got to do. I got to get this thing. I've got to get this thing approved so that I can take this from a residential to a commercial property. And by doing that, the value of the property increases like by threefold just by getting that permit approved. So I'm going to go out of my way to pick the party affiliate to get this thing done. 2 days worth of just information, and you can't beat it. It's for $25. So connecting with people, folks, getting out, getting to meetings, it's a pain in the ass. I don't want to get up at 7 o'clock tomorrow and go drive through rush hour traffic and go all the way up an hour away. Plus, I got to get on a 287, which is a real bad road at 8 o'clock in the morning. And but hey, I'm going to this thing. This kid, he has 400 agents working under him. 400 real estate agents. And yeah, he was with oh, what was that big Dan Merrill, I think, back in the day. But I met him through Nick Tang. Nick Tang, I've done events with him. So get out there and talk to people, folks. It doesn't hurt. It can only help. And so that's my 10-minute spiel on LinkedIn. Hopefully you can take advantage of that and spend some time. Take a course. There are mentors out there that will actually help set up your LinkedIn account to target who you are trying to bullseye in on, to connect with, to get something done, to connect with these people. Super important if you're just starting out or if you're looking to get some deals done. I don't know what better thing I can tell you about that. So next thing I want to talk about, and by these two definitely go in parallel. Now, back in this is okay. So if you go to trulypassive.com and then click on my courses, and I want everybody to really get a hold of this because it's very important. Click on my courses, and if you need trouble logging in, just hit or just send me an email, or I can actually do it from here. I can refresh your password so you can reset your password. You go to my courses, and then everybody should have Fast Track Business and mentor calls. Mentor calls and Fast Track Business. So click on Start Course. I don't know why it said Start Course because I have gone in here. And then there's 37 people enrolled. And then on the left, Julie has tweaked out all the names of all of the different calls that I've done. I've done 133 calls since 2019. We tried to title them as accurately as possible. Some of them we still need to go through and listen to. The titling is super important to so that you don't spend a whole lot of time. I would love to sit through and go through these things again myself, but I started. I had done a call. I'm just looking for it here. I could probably do it. Control F. Incremental. Yep, incremental versus exponential. This is such an important thing. This I did this one back in June of 2022. If you guys have any trouble getting into any of these courses or anything, let me know and we'll get you fixed up. I don't know. I'm still getting familiar with this website and getting familiar with how the different plugins react to each other, and definitely a work in progress now for 4 years. But incremental versus exponential. When I had first gotten onto the calls with my mentor, you know, I've talked about this in the past, and it's so super important. I was just a quiet guy that worked in a machine shop. I had a couple of friends in the machine shop, and that was my network. I had no network. I really, I had no one to talk about real estate. I was out buying my houses alone. Then I hooked up with Tony Costa, who's on this call, and he introduced me to RIA meetings. And then because of the RIA meetings, we were introduced to note investing. And then we started getting on these calls with other note investors nationwide, primarily from Manhattan, but people were all over the country for the most part. And these people didn't know that, hey, I was just a grubby machinist cutting metal, no high school diploma. And I'm talking about my notes on these conference calls. And I was doing good. We were all doing good, but I was doing really well with the notes that I was buying. I was doing really well with the due diligence that I had performed on these notes. And people started contacting me offline on these calls and says, "Hey, can you help me with my portfolio?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can." And I did. I helped. People had a lot of questions. They were a little embarrassed to do the questioning on the calls. It just wasn't in their personality to be upfront on the calls. And so I started helping them with their calls, and then I started brokering notes to these people, and the rest in my mind was history. But that was an exponential move for me because our mentor was a guy who I believe it was 30 Wall Street. Yeah, 30 Wall Street. Dream Builder Investments. That's who I learned this business from. I've never really talked about that before, but where's the building? Oh, this is actually the building. So I've been in this building a couple of times. It literally is right next door to what was it? Oh, so this was like George Washington out on in front of this building here. It was just really cool to go there and walk around Wall Street and the I forget all this NYSC was right here, and all of this crazy stuff was going on Wall Street and in this area. And I knew that this guy was just a normal guy. He was a salesman for medical equipment, and he had come across another real estate investor who had found a niche about buying non-performing second mortgages, buying the mortgage just to get on title. And then the rest was history, as he just took that business and ran away with it, to the level that he was able to train quite a few of us on this call. So he went from a zero network kind of thing to he connected with a guy named Tom Bencho, who had a real estate investment group out in Pittsburgh. And that was called Ring, Real Estate Investment Network Group. Ring, they called it Ring Meetings. And he connected with this Ring meeting thing, and then he bought a position in our real estate investment club that I belong to. Tony and I belong to. He bought a vendor membership. It was like $700. And with that $700, he was able to get a hold of like 2,000 or 4,000 email addresses for every real estate investor that had ever joined that group. He took that email address and he blind carbon copied 2,000 people. He didn't care if it bounced or not, or if he got 100, 10,000 bounces or anything. He just wanted to get this email out to say, hey, I'm starting a note education group. And so he went from zero to hero overnight. He literally made a massive improvement in his life by finding something that really worked, which was this note business. And then, excuse me, the next thing you know, he's renting an office on Wall Street, and he was paying like, at the time, it was like 16 grand a month to have this office on Wall Street. And that was back in 2007. So this was before the market crash. This is things were going well in the mortgage industry. And he was still finding these non-performing seconds, selling them out to us. And he literally went from sales guy driving around the country selling sutures and medical devices to now he's this Wall Street guy. And not that I wanted a place on Wall Street or anything, but I'm like, I kind of see how this could go from zero to hero by just going out and finding some notes. And and you guys can do the same thing. It's an exponential growth. It's not incremental. It's not, okay, so I need to get an office and I need to hire a secretary, then I need to have 2 employees and I need to get a fax machine. I need to get a widget and I need to get a payroll and I need to get insurance. And it's just go from nothing to a connection on LinkedIn that starts sending you notes. And before you know it, you're in business. And it literally takes a laptop and a cell phone to make these connections. That's it. To get back to the search of these default servicers, it's the sky is the limit. I mean, it's just you can go exponentially so quickly in this business. I don't know of any other business. I remember our mentor, he used to say, I don't need a website. I don't need a shiny suit. I don't need a tie. I go to these events in blue jeans and a nice shirt, and nobody cares. All they care about is when is the wire going to hit and is the wire going to hit. And the banks don't need a website. The banks don't need a shiny suit. They just want to close. And this is a good old boys Wall Street type of business. And I look back at the banks that I've done business with over the years, like 15 years now. They don't care. They want to know when's the wire going to hit, how fast can you close. Very important, very critical to think differently than in any other type of business that I've ever come across. Of course, I was a machinist. I've always dreamt of having my own machine shop. It would have taken millions of dollars in equipment to get in business. It would have taken a building with three-phase power and all the equipment. I don't even, just ridiculous amount of money to get up and running. This is I need a LinkedIn account, which is free. I've only paid for LinkedIn once, and I'm thinking about doing it again just to get to all of these different connections and look professional. With this default servicing list. And now I'm actually going to do this a little bit differently. I've always gone to the county recorders first, found an assignment, then find the people on LinkedIn to connect with. And now I'm like, you know what? I'm going to use LinkedIn to find the company that I need to be talking to. And then we know that there's a department called default servicing in all of these companies. So now I can use the company to go to my county website, put the company in, and do a search on that to chase the assignments. I see some great potential here, folks. And when I typed this in yesterday, I was like, that was a good find. My wife's like, I don't know, you may want to know this. The department that we're talking to, and Julie, you were in on that too. Their title is Default Servicing Foreclosure Team Leader. I'm like, that's perfect. It's perfect. So that's kind of all of it in a nutshell, folks. Exponential growth, literally overnight, going from maybe you've got 2 people in your LinkedIn account to now go after these 16,000 people. And start making these connections, joining these groups. I don't know. I'm very excited about this. When I go to connect, I do put in a Calendly link to request a 3 or 4 minute call with these people. At their convenience, when they're free, they can look at my calendar and say, yeah, I'm good. September 28th, 27th, put me in for a 5 or a 10-minute call or a 3 or 4 minute call on Tuesday, the 28th, and you're good to go. you can keep a spreadsheet of the people that you are tracking. And hey, if they don't join the call, then that's fine. So that's pretty much it. I know I covered a lot in these 40 minutes here. But I think with the material that I just covered is enough for you to start a business. All of the years of putting all this together and seeing what works and what doesn't work, I think that what I just covered tonight is probably the easiest, most in-depth place that you can go. But I really want you to take a good look at the website to make sure that you are actually able to get in to view all these calls. And I'd love to hear your feedback. So does anybody have anything that they would like to discuss here this evening? Any progress reports or things that you're hitting a roadblock on, or anything?
I tried to do some of those searches from the, I don't remember, last call or 2 calls ago. And I got a little hung up, so I don't know if you have, sometimes you want to go over that, or if you have any more, I don't know, reference around it, the public records dot netter online.
Okay, so what exactly?
So I tried to go to that site. I noticed that there might have been something I missed in my notes or whatever about what maybe the kind of document you're searching for, or there's some more to that. Maybe if you could even do a quick, review of that.
Sure. I just saw your thing about being overmodulated. Let me see if I can bring this down a little bit here. Let's try that. Nope, it's still high. I still haven't figured this device out. Okay, so let's just go to my favorite here. Okay, so I'm in Miami. So this is the same place that Netter would take you to if you typed in Miami-Dade. So I was just talking about Dean Engel. Let's type. So the name of his company is Park. I'm just going to put in Park Tree, like you said, Tony. The less is more here. So Park Tree, for Park Tree Investments, he's got Park Tree this, Park Tree that. And then I just want to come down and look for assignment of mortgage. Good place to start. I don't care about the dates. I'm not a robot. Let's see who Dean Engel has been buying notes from. There is 2 pages of him. Neighborhood Housing Services of America. Now, this is all the way back to 2010, so I probably would actually reverse my search and go to the other end here. So here's 2024. Bayview Dispositions. That sure sounds like a place that sells notes to me. So Bayview Dispositions. I want to see the document image. Here's an assignment. And Peter Suarez. Peter Suarez is the assistant VP for Bayview Dispositions. Suarez. So Suarez. Peter. There he is. Transaction manager. Collateral manager. That's another good title. Collateral manager. I mean, that's a great title. Because anybody who's handling collateral files knows that that's a loan. I would definitely connect with Peter Suarez. So that's Bayview. Bayview Dispositions. I bet you he's signed a bunch of these loans here. Nope. David Briggs, first VP. I would look him up. David Briggs. Let's go here. If Peter doesn't talk to you, maybe David will. I think it's as simple as that. Let's see. We got another Bayview over here. Yep, David again. So you can also tell by the dates. Now remember, this is only one county. So it's like, oh well, you know, Park Tree Investments only did one deal in September of 2022 with Bayview Dispositions. Well, there may have been a pool of 200 notes and only one note happened to be in Miami-Dade. So Bayview Dispositions, Bayview Financial is huge. Like government huge. Let's see, where would I go to? So Bayview Asset Management, Bayview. I'm trying to oh, HUD. Bayview Housing Authority, Bayview. Oh, I just saw it. Office of Asset Sales, HUD.gov. No, it takes me to the same spot. So you can go to this website and actually see what Bayview has purchased and all the other companies. HLVS post-sale results report available. Let's take a look here. This is an overview. That's a breakdown of the loans. Here we go. Let me zoom in on this for you. So if you go to your different sheriff sales across the country, you will recognize quite a few of these names. You'll recognize Waterfall Victoria. You will see Bayview Asset Management. There you go. They bought 162 loans. They're settled. They give you the price. Updated loan balance, 25.1 million. In 106, where is it? 162 loans, 25 million. So let's see. Got 25 million divided by 165. So the average loan is $151,000. So Bayview bought 162 loans, 150,000 average UPB from HUD. And you have to assume that those are non-performing. These are all note sellers, guys. Now, will they sell them to you? So I actually know this guy. I had lunch with was it this guy? They had bought a bunch of HUD reverse mortgage loans. I actually went over that call in one of the previous calls as well, about buying from HUD indirectly. You're not going to be able to buy from HUD. You have to have a relationship with HUD. And the guy that I met with actually did have a very good relationship doing other business with HUD. But Bayview Financial, Bayview Loan Servicing, in this case, it was Bayview Asset Management, which we found from Miami-Dade website, Bayview Dispositions. That's who Partry buys from. So then you can take that information, you can go back to the search, and then what do you type in? Bayview. Assignment of mortgage. We've got a total of 500 documents. So you can have a lot of fun just going back and forth and looking at all the different people that Bayview is doing business with. And I believe what we did on one call, it might have been the last call, was First National. First National Acceptance Corp. Or company. These are all the people that sell loans to First National. And I think, Tom, you were going to get in touch with First National.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, what's happening?
Hey, I filled out a form after our last call when you were talking about those, and I filled one out online for a first mortgage note I want to sell just to see what they would offer me.
Yep.
And they never called me back. So I called them about noon today, and I said, "Hey, I called you guys, and my lead must have slipped through the cracks. No one ever contacted me." So he keyed in my phone number, and he found it, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I see this. Sorry about that. Said I'll have you someone call you back." So about an hour before this call started, somebody from Finac called me back, and I emailed him a copy of the note and mortgage and the property record, and he's going to dig a little deeper into the borrower's background and do whatever due diligence they do on their end. And he said he's going to get back to me tomorrow.
Cool. So I
Yeah.
was on Walter Wofford's Financial Friends Network the other day. I don't know if you saw that post, Tom, but some guy had a note that he was trying to sell to the group, and I just for fun I said, "Have you tried Finac?" And he goes, "Never heard of them." And he tried calling. He said Finac wanted to give themselves an 18.5% yield on the offer that they presented, which did not suit him well.
Huh. Well, but the terms and conditions of everyone's notes
Exactly.
can be different. So
Oh yeah.
it,
Terms, conditions, the property location, the reputation, the crime neighborhood,
yeah.
the borrower's credit, yeah, all that. It plays in. When I sold them a loan, I think they got a 9% yield. And
Mm,
I had bought that note for 20 cents on the dollar.
yeah.
And then I had gotten a downstroke and then 75,000 down with another 100,000 to go. And they bought this thing from me for 85 cents on a dollar, 90 cents. Beautiful. It was just like,
Mike, is there anything that could be done to target defaulted notes in Florida? Because I'm telling you, I am right now as we speak. I could not sit in my office any longer. I had to be out on the roads. I'm out storm chasing.
yep,
My phone was lighting up with tornado warnings and hurricane warnings. So I'm driving down a road right now that's got a foot of standing water, and the water is going in the front doors of these homes.
oh,
And this is just one neighborhood, and these are high-end homes. These are like, I'm going to say 800 to $1 million to $2 million homes, and these houses are going to be flooded out. And man, a lot of these people are probably just going to walk away or just have problems with making the payments. And all the way down here at the tip, I mean, we only got like 60-mile-an-hour winds. Where that storm is about to land, it is going to cause so much havoc with so many borrowers up there that it's
panhandle,
going to be a mess. But
panhandle stuff.
panhandle stuff, they're going to get hammered all the way up into Georgia. And
Yeah,
that's working class folks up there. But I'm
yeah,
driving through the $1 million neighborhood now, and it ain't going to be much better here. These homes are, they're not like up to the middle of their walls, but it's a couple inches above their
yep.
finished floor elevation and going under the front door.
2 feet of
And
sheetrock. Yeah.
yep, it's crazy right now where I'm at.
New floors, new subfloor,
Right,
clean the
right.
joists. Did all that. We did all that for Sandy.
Yeah, it's a Sandy situation here.
It's a Sandy.
And yeah. So, but I don't know if you could geographically target. I mean, the defaults will happen when they happen, and I guess whatever lender gets them gets them. There's nothing you could do to geo target an area for notes, right?
Sure. Of course there is. Yeah. I mean,
You
just
can.
go to the county the house is located in. I mean,
Oh, that's true. Yeah, and just look at the defaults that are filed.
I'm in Miami-Dade right now, but I could just as easily go to Duval up in Jacksonville and just do the same thing and just pull up list pendants. So let's just go to Netter Online and then pick that state right there. I don't know. I guess you're driving, Tom. You can't see the computer, but um, I
Yeah,
believe
you're on NetR online, right? I could see that.
yes, I'm on Netter. Um, Duval, I believe, is Jacksonville County.
Yeah, that's up in the northeast corner there.
Yeah. I mean, all these Florida websites are great, you know. So let's
Yeah.
see. All clerk recorder. And then you're just going to go by document type. That's what I would do because you don't know the borrower's names. You're going to go by document type, and then just
Just look for Liz Pendant's
look
filings.
for list pendants. Yep,
All right.
and then go. LIS. LP. And then well, let's do the last year. That's pretty cool. That's nice. Date range. You don't have to type it in like a calendar. You could click on the calendar here. So this is going from September 23 to September today. And then here you go. You've got 217 pages. Holy crap. so that's 2,170 foreclosures just in Duval County. That's a lot. Now, whether or not these list pendants have been satisfied or not, or not satisfied, dismissed, that's a different story, but this is quite a bit. You can change the record date to filter the other direction. You can get the most recent. There we go. So this list pendants was recorded yesterday, September 25th. Vaughn Jenkins, Walter Nettles. Let's see how many were filed just today.
Well, that's pre-storm. In the next 30 days,
So
there's got to be a whole lot more.
13 of them yesterday. So 13 just in Duval County filed list pendants yesterday. I mean,
Mhm.
you get a lawyer, man, he's chasing these things down. They're
Now
buying.
that's conventional. That's not like privately held, right?
No,
That's everything.
it could be
That's
it
just
could be a private note.
Right.
Anybody can start foreclosure if they own a note.
Sure.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, what I was just wondering,
I mean,
to reach
see,
out.
like Foxwood Owners Association. So that's a HOA. Foxwood Owners Association, that's a HOA. ViStar Credit Union, that's probably a mortgage. Westport Villages Property Association, Owners Association, that's a HOA. Acorn Ridge Development, that's a HOA. Bank of America, that's a bunk. So yeah, very interesting. I mean,
Yeah, but to
Yes.
reach out to a big institutional lender for a one-off or two-off, you're not going to necessarily ask if you could buy that note, but you're going to ask them, do they have a portfolio or a tape of notes that they want to sell?
yeah, when I
Right.
buy off of banks, I buy what they've already selected to sell. I've been asked this question for 15 years. Can I buy the house down the street from me? Well, you possibly can, but doing it the way I just showed you by finding this defaulted asset manager and saying, do you have any notes for sale? Well, they're going to send you all over the world. And I don't do this business to target in. I know that we've had this conversation quite a few times, Tom. I know you're very neighborhood oriented and very conscious of where these things are, and I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
It's a broader shotgun for me. And like I said before too, I want to scale it. I want to do 200 notes at once. And going for the house around the corner from you is not 200 at once.
Right.
It's just
Right.
it's just a different model, and it's all fine. But I mean, you can look for you can actually let's go back to the set. Let's go back to the search here. Where's the search? Search. Document type. No, let's go to name. So the name is a lot more specific if I'm looking for a bank. So let's just put in here, let's do a funny thing. Let's put in Equity Trust, which is a self-directed IRA custodian. And then let's do a document type, and let's just type in here LP for list pendants. Book all and search. Oh. Oh, LP has to be capital. See, there you go. Search. All of the above. Equity Trust Custodian, Equity Trust et al. Done. Okay, so these are all the list pendants that private investors like ourselves had to file against people that didn't pay them back, didn't pay their IRAs back. Talk about a one-off. I mean, these are one-offs, but these people are also lenders. They have IRA money to lend on real estate deals because they're lending to real estate deals. You can also change that document type if you're looking for money. You can change this to what do you call it when you pay off your loan? Satisfaction.
Satisfaction, yeah.
So you look up satisfaction. And then let's do a
Yeah.
range for the last. Let's just really bullet in now. Last 180 days, 6 months. Oh. Oh. Okay, so all these people got paid off in the last 6 months. From May of 2029, they got their money back. So let's just see. Whose homes and investments? So usually they give you an amount. Or they give you a related link. And this is going to take you to the mortgage. Or sometimes actually the note. So that was the satisfaction, and here's the mortgage. And this mortgage was $114,000 mortgage. And so Whose Homes and Investments LLC, a Florida LLC, is the borrower, and the lender is Equity Trust Company Custodian for the benefit of Clayton Ronald Molinari, IRA account number, blah, blah, blah. So this guy doesn't even do his deals in a trust or an LLC. He's doing it directly out of Equity Trust Company, which is fine, I've done many deals like that. But there it is. If you're looking for money, this guy just got paid off. Whatever that last document was. And away you go. Yeah, this one. So he got paid off May 23rd for $114,000 plus whatever the interest rate. So he's sitting on 150 grand right now, or 120 grand, looking to lend it out again. You could play that game. Why not? That's how powerful county records are. Okay, so Scott is good question. Can you provide an example of how to break the ice with a new contact? Okay, that's a great question, Scott. So I like to say, hey, my name is Mike. I'm calling from whatever company you're with. We are in the business of buying, and Julie probably has a better way of saying this than I do. But we are in the business of buying delinquent, non-performing XYZ mortgages, second mortgages, first mortgages, residential. I see that your name was on a couple of different assignments, and I figured I'd reach out to you and see if there's anything that we can help you with. They're like, what do you do? Well, we buy from banks. We've bought from Wells Fargo in the past. We bought from PNC. Now, when I say I bought from PNC, I didn't say directly from PNC, but I own PNC paper. I own Wells Fargo paper, First Franklin paper. You can name any companies that you want to say that we've done business with these people in the past. I'd love to give you references. The references never actually come down, but you can always offer to give you business references, and of course, use me if you want. They'll look me up on LinkedIn and see that I've been connected with a lot of people for a long time, if that's their worry. But I can just about promise you that they don't give a crap. They're only worried about when they close, and they're very concerned about confidentiality. And I always bring up the fact to say, listen, if we start transferring data back and forth, please don't use my email address, use my Dropbox account. And we're very conscientious about the borrower's confidentiality. And we have a great reputation of maintaining confidentiality. And usually they'll say, I was just about to get to that. I want to beat them to that punch. I like that conversation because they're like, oh, this guy gets it. He's been around the block. And so I offer up confidentiality before they do, before they try to scold me for anything. I never mentioned that I am going to be selling these things out to my friends by any means. This is for our own company consumption. And I would love to just start off with one or two notes if you're interested. And they'll say, oh, we only do pools of 15 loans or something. I'd say that's fine. Whatever you're comfortable with. We've started off with banks in the past where just to get the mechanics down, the wiring instructions, and the period of time to close by just doing a onesie twosie if you're interested in doing that. And a lot of times they'll take you up on that because, and this I learned, it takes a lot of manpower or people power to put a tape together because half the time they don't know what they're looking at. They don't know what they have. They don't know if the assets are still collectible. They're coming from a different department. And I offer up, and I've never been able to help them say, listen, I'll jump on a plane and get out there. I see you're in Des Moines, Iowa. To come out there and meet with you, take you out to lunch, and give you a little bit of an idea of what we do with our business. I always offer to go out there. And I've never been taken up on it yet. I think one time to go out to Chicago. And so I offered that up just to show that, hey, I'm freaking serious about this. And I'm willing to jump on a plane to come out and talk to you. Now, I I usually know what these people are sitting on, because most of these banks report to the FDIC, and when they report to the FDIC, I then go to my Software Distress Pro and I look up that bank, if it is a bank. If it's a fund, that's a different story. I can't look them up. But if it is a bank, I can go to, and I can do this for anybody that's hearing my voice. I can go on to Distress Pro and see what kind of assets they have and what size assets that they have by going to Distress Pro. I have a membership for that. I'd be happy to do that for you if you make a connection, if you're willing to go that route. But I want to, I want to talk very slowly and comfortably. And I promise you, Scott, and everybody that can hear me, when you're talking to these people, it's all about them. They could care less about you. They could care less about your funds. They could care less about your website. They could care less what you're wearing or what you're driving or what you're living in. All they want to do is either close or hang up on you and get on to the next thing. So I hope that helps, Scott. I guess you're not able to unmute. Let me see what other messages I have here.
Mike, can you hear me?
Hey, Scott, how you doing?
I'm pretty good. I never know how the sound's going to come out. So, yeah, appreciate that. And all that's really good information, good insight on how to approach it. So, thank you.
Okay, so non-disclosure document, do they usually provide it? Okay, so yes, you're welcome, Scott. The other Scott said, do you have an NDA document? They usually provide anything that needs to be signed. It's their ass on the line as far as confidentiality, and because they're the ones sharing the confidential information. Non-disclosure agreement is all about information. And I always say, listen, I'd be happy to sign your non-disclosure agreement if you have one. I've never signed one. I've never done a deal and gone through all the bullshit of non-disclosure agreements and circumventions and all the stuff that you hear everybody talking about. I've never done a deal where I had to sign one and we actually closed the deal, because that's all a bunch of smoke and it's all avoidable and not enforceable 99% of the time. But I'm willing to do it if that's what makes you comfortable. Because it's just not enforceable. Hey, it's that would be a really tough one to prove.
Yeah, I get it. It's just like the waiver of liability. They make you sign for everything, and you go and play here and do this, and you can't sue us, but it's all
You'll get sued.
scare tactic. Yeah, you can still sue them even though you've signed a do not sue agreement.
Absolutely. Yeah, good to hear you, Scott. Good to hear everybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just finished listening to all the mentor calls today.
Oh my God.
On my way to work. I listened to the very last one.
You poor guy.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of good information on there. I actually, I have a mental list in my head, but I really need to write it out so we can actually discuss some of the stuff. But yeah,
That's going on 5 years next month, I think.
Yeah.
Or maybe 5 years now, something like that. Yeah, and I try not to overlap. Yeah, cool. All right, guys. Any other questions before we sign off here? I really hope you found this one interesting, because I'm very excited about this this default servicing search on LinkedIn. That just, to me, was, this is going to be easy. They list their occupation, And they wear that badge like I'm in default servicing. Check me out. And I am going to check you out. So I was very pleasantly surprised to see that many contacts in that title. And like Tony said, the more granular you get on your search, it filters very quickly. If I put, well, let's just do it real quick here. So if I put, I don't know why that does that. Default servicing. And this is coming right off the letterhead email. Foreclosure. Team lead. That was in the email. You get, how many do you get? Yeah, you get 303,000. Because now it's using a combination of, it's not using all, it's going team lead at Equity Trust, which is pretty cool. Team lead, investment management, but it's leaving out default servicing foreclosure team lead. It's just coming up with team lead. Team lead. You can have fun with that too. I love it. So get out there and get connected. It can't hurt. Banks are in the money lending business, not real estate owning business. I promise you that. One of my alumni students got into this business. How did it? He was doing during the foreclosure crisis. He was doing property preservation, and he had such good experience dealing with banks that just are like, please just secure this house. We don't even want to look at it. We don't want pictures. They're like, we just make sure that this thing doesn't freeze and get worse in value. He goes, I made so much money off of the banks just not wanting to get involved. And I thought that was cool. I'm like, that's pretty slick, man. Very cool. Well, thanks again, everybody, for being on. Thanks for the input. And everybody, and look for this recording. Julie's going to let us know when these recordings actually get posted up so that you can go back and review. And catch you soon. Take care.
Thanks, Mike.
Welcome.